It's Spoilerin time, my friends. This is a chance for Brian Brushwood and I, the host of Cordkillers, to get together and watch something unusual or different and talk about what we thought about it in a spoilery way. We're not going to hold back on the details. I'm Tom Merritt. That is the aforementioned Brian Brushwood right there.
Heck yeah. We have a special guest, Mr. Justin Robert Young.
Yeah.
You know what? I told Justin, I was like, hey, I think we're going to watch Asteroid City. And Justin said, I would sooner die than watch that movie. And I said, but what if you get to give your opinions about it? And he said, I've already watched it. I can't wait to talk.
I did. I watched it on a flight, and I've got a lot of thoughts because I am a huge Wes Anderson fan. I would define Wes Anderson as probably one of the one of the directors that I really feel kind of defined my generation of like movie going. Quentin Tarantino was somebody that had already sort of popped by the time that I was like going to movies by myself. But Wes Anderson, I've loved to follow. I got many Wes Anderson thoughts, and I got a lot of thoughts about this movie, but I'll let you boys go first.
I had not seen it. Brian, you've seen it before. Did you rewatch it? Did you scan it? Did you?
I watched it once with one set of wives and children, and then another time with other children, and then I watched it. I watched the first half again last night. Tom, I stand behind my commitment. If what you want is pancakes with sugar on them, if what you want is two twee by half storytelling, if what you want is pure undistilled Wes Anderson, boy, do I have the movie for you.
I am a big fan of Wes Anderson. I believe I've seen all of his works. I might be missing one out there, but I am a fan as well. I like his style. I like his way of storytelling, his sort of understated emotional storytelling. I was surprised at the conceit with the play, and not to say I didn't like it, but it was not what I was expecting. It was a little different than the norm, than the usual, and so that framing of it was pretty fun for me. I found it quite interesting.
I perceived that aspect, and I'm about to turn it over to Justin here. I perceived that part as being sort of allow us to not worry about the delivery of things. Plays tend to be stilted and deliberative and so on. We're going to do that, but they also are very well framed and so on. So let us do that as well. So we're going to bother to pretend like this is a play. Justin, why did you hate this movie?
Because the play stuff sucked. That's why. And I didn't hate the movie. I really like the movie. I think that there's some really, really good performances in there, but I found it to be a very frustrating Wes Anderson film because every time that I wanted to live in this world that they had created really well, one that had very interesting things that you had never seen in a Wes Anderson movie before, like a sci-fi bent to it, they pulled out for this acting for the sake of acting, writing for the sake of writing, diving right up their own orifice, so we can find the real interesting part of this. The fact that actors do things and directors do things and writers do things. No, guess what? You made a great, great, great story that I wanted to spend more time with. I loved all those characters that were actually there in Asteroid City. Whenever we went to that place, I wanted to spend more time there, and I was excited to see how these characters interacted with each other. Every time we came back to the quote-unquote real world where this play is being played out and we're dealing with the actors talking to each other, oh boy, was it tedious for me. And then the fact that when you have these dueling ideas, let's tell from the behind the scenes drama of how a play comes together, and then let's show you as a movie the product of the play. Boy, was I frustrated when the ending of the combined story was the play and not the product or the production and not the product, because I just wanted closure on these characters. I thought that this could have been an exceptional Wes Anderson movie. And let me point this out. And again, real Wes heads will know. This was a collaboration between Roman Coppola and Wes Anderson. Some of my least favorite Wes Anderson movies have been collaborations of Roman Coppola and Wes Anderson, the Darjeeling Limited being another one of them. I was really into seeing this movie because I loved Letters from the French Dispatch, which I thought was his funniest movie in a while, because that's a thing that Wes Anderson, at his best, is a very funny director. This was not particularly knee-slappery, but the cast, as always, exceptional. The world of Asteroid City, fantastic. Boy, did I not need a study of 1960s era gonzo plays.
1952. Yeah.
But yeah, funny, Brian, when you were talking about it being defensible of the presentation, I realized I hadn't thought about it, but it does sort of defend the reality of it, right? We don't have to have this be a real place in New Mexico. We don't have to believe in aliens or not believe in aliens or think the alien is realistic, et cetera, because it's a play, right? So it loosens things up. It gives you latitude, except that as soon as I thought that just now, I realized, however, it's a Wes Anderson movie. You never have to defend the reality in a Wes Anderson movie. And that made me ask the question, even though I want to make sure it's clear, I actually enjoyed the play stuff. I thought it was interesting and intriguing. If you remove it, does this movie still work?
Maybe, but it needs
an ending.
It needs something more, right?
It needs an ending, sure.
It
yeah.
needs more authenticity. Like it
Does it though? I
for me.
wonder about that.
I believe that the play aspect was just a big old slap of duct tape that allowed them to not really tell a good story. They don't have to. Slap that on there. But
do you think that the Asteroid City part of the story is not good? Because I feel like it can stand alone.
I thought it ruled.
I think if it were developed, it would be incredible. However, but before that, I was there for candy. All I wanted was candy. I got so much candy. I got so many color palettes. I got every skin tone all being perfectly matched. I got cinematography. I got random hilarious asides like the constant bank robbery that's going on, and so on. Like, I got what I wanted out of a Wes Anderson movie, and not one bit more. And I don't blame anybody whose name is Justin Robert Young if he wanted more.
No, I wanted less. I wanted less of the play. I think it had all the things there. I mean, if you look at it from the perspective, remove all the play stuff. The conflict is you have all these people here in Asteroid City. A alien comes and steals a rock. A very Wes Anderson way to start a conflict, right? But with a sci-fi thing, we've never seen that before, so it is new. And then it spirals into this Wes Anderson does Dr. Strangelove story that gets more and more intense, and now we're actually building to the idea that something crazy is going to happen, and then the resolution is that the alien drops the rock back and then just
Brings
says
it back.
peace.
It's like, I just wanted to borrow it.
And
Thanks.
then leaves. It's fantastic. I just needed a few more scenes to wrap up the character stuff, and that would have been it. Again, it's you now. I will say, flip it. You probably could have done a version of the play story, and I would have been into that, because I've never seen a Wes Anderson movie that is totally one of these self-indulgent acting and writing is the most important thing in the world, as important.
And the bit where he auditions by coming in, like bursting into his studio and breaking a window and stuff is a pretty great sequence.
Ripping off his mustache, putting on a beard.
There's really good work there. It was frustrating. So I won't say bad, and I won't say the play stuff sucked. I just found that frustrating because I was really, really, really into this other stuff. And I will say I can understand why they hid all the play stuff in the trailer.
Yes, in the trailers.
Like they did not sell this as a meta comedy or a meta dramedy. They sold it as Wes Anderson in the desert and there's an alien. And I'm
Space
like,
age Wes
awesome.
Anderson. Yeah.
Love it. Let's go. They hid all that other stuff, I think, for good reason.
The other thing that occurred to me as I was watching this is and I don't know how true this was because I didn't go look it back up, but I had heard that Bill Murray was unavailable, that he wanted him in Asteroid City. He was unavailable, and then it would have been the Tom Hanks role.
No.
No?
The version I read was he had Bill Murray had COVID, and that's why we have a Steve Carell.
Yes, it was
Oh, he would have
Carell.
been
It was
Steve
Carell.
Carell.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was the
Makes
motel
way
owner.
more sense then, because I was looking at the Tom Hanks role and I'm like, man, I guess he could have done it, but it would have been way different. Having him be Steve Carell, perfect.
Yeah.
And it's not that Steve Carell was in any way bad.
Oh, no. I was actually very thankful. It's like, oh, we get to live in the alternate universe where Steve Carell pulls off a Bill Murray.
Yes, I understand, but he did not. Steve Carell played that.
Yeah, if anything, it would have been against type for Bill Murray. Like he would have been a little bit more. I'd be curious to see his take on the role. But Carell was awesome. He was 10 out of 10. in that.
Carell
Love the idea of selling real estate out of a vending
Well,
machine.
that's again. Stay in the city. There's a lot of good stuff happening here, man. We don't need to come pull out and be like, actors be fussy. Oh, like here's this Tennessee Williams knockoff. Guess what? Edward Norton gets to do an accent. Come on, let's make everybody happy. Oh, Adrian Brody's in here. Let's finally have
Adrian Brody living on the set though was pretty great.
I
too.
mean,
like that.
it's not like there's bad stuff. It's just do another movie. Don't ruin this good idea with another okay idea.
Yeah.
Conoce both.
Yeah.
Because when you have two
Porque no.
movies, you have zero movies. That's why.
On the Steve Carell Bill Murray part, like Steve Carell definitely was playing kind of a more for lack of a better phrase, a more beta version of that character than I feel like Bill Murray would have played. Like it would have been different.
Well,
and I really, really liked the Steve Carell version of it. This subservient, like, oh, well, if you do this, then you could buy the thing and all that.
I understand. Tomato, apple, or orange?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, there have been elements of that softer element of Bill Murray's character work that Wes Anderson has done really well. My favorite Wes Anderson movie is Royal Tenenbaums, and he is an absolute doormat in that in that movie. This was something that was very interesting because that character is the perfect people pleaser, but also is very much in control. Like the first scene you see him in, he's telling people that they're going to be living in a tent. And he has a military precision while having the consummate hotelier element to it.
He's
But Carell is
very
fantastic.
patiently explaining why this is the best thing that could possibly happen to
Yeah.
them.
It's just hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to cheerfully explain
I
to you
understand.
you're in a tent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. I found it delightful. And like you say, like you keep saying, Brian, like a big heaping spoonful of Wes Anderson. There was just something comforting about that, but also with that 50s space age retro future kind of nostalgia thing that is pretty hot right now, to be honest. And I like that part of it too.
Let me make a pitch, because the negative note that I hear from everybody who has a negative note, whose name is Justin Robert Young, is that the play aspect bleeds in too much, and it ends up being kind of an insulator to what might have been a better story. However, without the play aspect, I don't know how you get amazing moments like when Jeffrey Wright gives a speech and he steps away from one microphone to have another microphone pop up, and he's like, Act 2. My father came back from a war that never ended, and then
When
steps
he's giving
forward.
his speech,
Yeah.
that's just a good Wes Anderson scene, my man.
Ah.
That's just the kind of goofy stuff that happens in a Wes Anderson movie. An
How-
alien shows up. Like, we're gonna be worried about why the other mics are set
You
up there.
could keep the title cards too. You could keep the Act 1 scenes, 4 through 7. That would be perfectly Wes Anderson to just throw those up.
Quick question. Did you guys know that Jeff Goldblum actually did the
stop
motion capture for the alien?
I up until the point, because I saw, I guess it's in the credit. I don't know if they have the credits where they list all the characters up top, but it's like Jeff Goldblum as the alien. So I knew that Jeff Goldblum was the alien, and so you see him as a claymation character. But then I was like, oh, that would have been really awesome if that's the only thing, is they just had him do Jeff Goldblum-y things.
Oh, so you
Yeah,
liked it
and that's
less
exactly what
when they
they did, yeah.
revealed that.
I was happy with it just being, it's like, oh, we just got Jeff Goldblum, because it does look like a very Goldblum gate as the, like, I'm in the alien. Oh, here's
Right.
my rock. Oh, sorry. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I also like that they did a 50s style credits in the open.
Oh,
You
yeah,
don't see it
yeah.
anymore.
Giving us all the names right up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right up top.
No, I dug that as well.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I recommend it. Go watch it. If you're like Justin Robert Young, just fast forward through the black and white parts. Otherwise, let it
Release the
play.
Snyder Cut.
Asteroid City was our spoiler in time discussion for today. Next time, we're still taking your suggestions. Email us, cordkillers@gmail.com. However, we got a great suggestion that we're going to act on for next week. This is not the beginning of a rewatch. This is not the beginning of even a Miami Vice style. We'll watch a bunch of episodes. with
Unless
guests.
you all demand it.
The concept here is that we are going to watch the pilot episode of a show that I have seen episodes of, but I've never seen the pilot. Brian has never seen episodes of it all. And it is a one of those fundamental shows that people always talk about, like, oh, the influence on television from this show. So Brian and I are going to pop on Max and watch the pilot episode of West Wing, the Aaron Sorkin definitive political drama that set the template for political dramas to come. So if you'd like to watch that with us, we'll be talking about that on Spoiler in Time next week. Again, it's on Max, West Wing, episode 1, titled Pilot. That is Spoiler in Time for us. Justin Robert Young, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure and a joy to be with you, boys. And anytime that Wes Anderson comes out with a movie, I'll be happy to come out and talk about it 3 months after it's released.
Now, Justin will be joining us for After Talk. We'll be talking about Rick and Morty there, which we have been doing. And if you aren't a patron and you're like, man, I wish the Rick and Morty talk wasn't just in the After Talk, well, you can become a patron and get it right away, or wait a couple weeks when we will discuss the entire season at once right here on Spoiler in Time. That's 2 weeks from now. That's it for this episode, though. Until next time, we will spoil you again soon.
Yeah. You're the best.